Hi everyone, I'm so excited because in a couple of weeks, on October 26th, I believe, of this year, 2015, Microsoft will be unveiling and launching the Surface Pro 4 tablet. Right here I have my trusty friend here, the Surface Pro 3, along with its sidekick stylus here. So let's just talk about some of the differences between the Surface Pro 3 that we have today and the well-anticipated Surface Pro 4. So the first thing I want to talk about is the display. The display on the current Surface Pro 3 is a 12-inch display. It has a native resolution of about 2160 times 1440 pixels, and it has an aspect ratio of 3 to 2. But on the Surface Pro 4, they're going to pack a lot more pixels and have a much better screen with a higher resolution, and we're talking about 2736 times 1824 pixels. So that's quite a lot more pixels that is packed into that screen. One thing to mention as well is that the actual size of the screen on the Surface Pro 3 is 12 inches diagonally. On the Surface Pro 4, the size of that screen is going to be 12.3 inches. So yes, you heard me. The size of the screen is just going to move by incremental 0.3 of an inch, but they're going to pack a lot more pixels in there and have a much better picture, higher quality picture. The good news is the overall dimensions of the device remain the same. So for all of your accessory manufacturers out there, whatever works for the Surface Pro 3 today will fit the Surface Pro 4. Now the Surface Pro 4 also is going to come with something called Pixel Sense technology, and what all that is that there will be technology crammed inside the screen itself that can actually detect the amount of light that is being blocked by an object that's touching that screen. So what does that mean? Pretty much it can tell if a stylus is touching the screen or if your big fat thumb or finger is touching the screen, right? And that is a really cool feature, because what it would mean is that if it can detect that it's a stylus, then the quality of the writing when you're writing on your stylus on the screen will be highly improved. So you get a really good writing experience, as opposed to if you're just using your finger to navigate or thumb, then it knows, okay, I don't have to be that precise when it comes to tracking a pen or your stylus movement on a screen. You just want to press a button and access a menu. Now the Surface Pro 3's pen, the top, this has this button which when you press, it gives you access to your OneNote application. Now on the Surface Pro 4 you will still have that same functionality, but what's going to happen is that the top is actually going to be an actual eraser that you can use to erase things, right? So it's an actual eraser, but it still will have the button functionality built within that eraser itself. So you can still press that eraser head and access your OneNote functionality. So now the new pen will also have 1024 levels of pressure sensitivity. So depending on how hard you press on the screen, it can actually detect that and reflect that in the thickness of whatever you're writing, right? The thickness of your script, which is very cool as well. Now the new Surface Pro 4 pen will retail for around $60 US. The good news too about the new Surface Pro 4 pen, again this is just the Surface Pro 3's pen, is that for all of you Surface Pro 3 owners out there, the pen will be backward compatible with the Surface Pro 3. So you can just say whew and wipe your brow. That's good as well. So you don't have to shell out money for a brand new Surface Pro 4. You can use your trusty Surface Pro 3, get the new stylus for $60 US, MSRP price, and you're good to go. So the type cover on the Surface Pro 4 will have some improvements, one of which will be more spacing, wider spacing between the keys, and I believe the keys as well are going to be sticking out more from the plane, so you can actually get better access to the ergonomic feel of the keys, because they're going to be sticking up like on a conventional keyboard, and that will give you that sense of using a real keyboard. The keys also will be backlit, just like on the Surface Pro 3, but the trackpad itself as well is also going to be 40% larger than the trackpad on the Surface Pro 3. Keyboard for the Surface Pro 4 will retail for around $129 US, but you can also get one that has a built-in fingerprint sensor for around $159, $160. So good news for you Surface Pro 3 owners. Once again, the type cover is going to be back compatible with the Surface Pro 3, that brand new type cover, including the brand new one with the fingerprint sensor. So in essence, you can upgrade your Surface Pro 3 by just upgrading the keyboard and the stylus as well. So the dimensions of the Surface Pro 3, it's 292 times 201 times 9.1 millimeters. The dimensions of the Surface Pro 4 are the same, 292 times 201 millimeters, but the thickness is a little bit thinner. It's going to be 8.4 millimeters thick. So you're looking at a 0.7 millimeter reduction in thickness of the Surface Pro in the Surface Pro 4. Now Microsoft did say they could make it thinner, but because of the USB 3.0 port that they want to keep there on the side, they had to leave it at 8.4 millimeters thick. So the Surface Pro 3 weighs in at 794 grams, and the Surface Pro 4 is going to be a little bit lighter at 766 grams. So you're not really going to notice that big of a difference, but they did shave off some of the fat off the Surface Pro 3. And as far as connectivity, so they've maintained all the connectivity that came with the Surface Pro 3 on the 4. So you're still going to have all your Wi-Fi capability there, as well as your Bluetooth and whatnot. One disappointment, however, they did not include an LTE or 4G built-in radio. So you still would have to pair your Surface Pro 4 with your smartphone to access the web when you're on the road. So you will still get the mini display port and the micro SD card reader in your Pro 4, that as you have today in your Pro 3. So as far as the cameras are concerned, in the Surface Pro 4 model, Microsoft has improved the rear-facing camera, so they bumped it up from the 5 megapixel camera we have today on the back of our Surface Pro 3 to an 8 megapixel camera. As far as the front, right now on the Pro 3 we have the 5 megapixel camera on the front, and that remains as well on the 4, so they didn't upgrade the front-facing camera. From a battery perspective, the batteries are identical in both, and the power consumption is pretty impressive on both models. So Microsoft has quoted that the battery can last up to 9 hours, but obviously that would depend on the type of usage that you put your device through, right? So if you're streaming Netflix all the time, obviously you want to get 9 hours, but it's I guess based on average use and general use, they state you can get up to 9 hours. So the battery remains the same on both models. The new MacBooks and iPads that come out from Apple, they've actually claimed that they can get 10 hours of battery life. Again, that's just what Apple stated. So when it comes to price, the Surface Pro 3, their base model retails for $799, and with that you get a Core i3 processor, which is Intel based. You get 4 gigabytes of RAM, and you also get 64 gigabytes of SSD memory. Now, looking at the Surface Pro 4, their base model is $100 more, so that retails for $899, and with that you get the Core M3 processor. You still get the 4 gigabytes of RAM, but your SSD has been bumped up to 128 gigabytes, so that would explain the $100 difference. On the high end, today you can get the Surface Pro 3 for around $1,949, and with that, and again this is the Surface Pro 3 that we have here, you get the Core i7 processor, which is Intel based, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and you get 512 gigabytes of SSD memory. On the Surface Pro 4, the high-end model is pretty steep. It retails for around $2,699, so $2,700 for the top end Surface Pro 4. What you get with that? Well, you get your Core i7 processor, a gigabyte of RAM, and a terabyte of SSD storage. So that's it. That's the pricing. The good news is, the base price is still pretty affordable, $899, and for many of us out there who just want to do basic, use our, all of our basic Windows functions and Windows Office, check our mail, watch Netflix, and all that. The base model is pretty adequate, but for those of you who need more horsepower and an ultra portability, hey, the money's there, spend it. So I will be honest with you, Microsoft has done a very good job in improving what it's done with the Surface Pro 3 and the Surface Pro 4. You're looking at the improvements in the stylus, where you have an eraser top that can double as an eraser as well as a button. You have that technology, pixel sense technology, that can determine is it a finger that's touching the screen or is it a stylus that's touching the screen. The battery is still going to be impressive, just like you have on the previous model. The improvements to the keyboard, where now you're going to have better spacing between the keys. The keys are actually going to be more elevated from the plane. 40% more surface area in the trackpad. Backlit as usual. And another great feature is on the Surface Pro 4 with the new stylus, you can actually via a magnetic connection have your stylus to stick to the side of your tablet. So that's really cool feature on the Surface Pro 4 as well. And then again, they've drastically increased the resolution on the screen, and doing all of that, but still keeping the overall size and dimensions of the Surface Pro 4 pretty much the same as the 3, with the exception of 0.7 millimeter reduction in the thickness of the tablet. Yeah, they've improved the rear-facing camera, and I guess the front-facing camera doesn't really need to be improved. It's 5 megapixels. I guess that's adequate for video conferencing and whatnot. And of course, the improvements to the in terms of what's your internal storage. You get more internal storage, you have that flexibility there. And hey, Windows 10 Pro comes now pre-installed on all the new models. So overall, I definitely would put my thumbs up for this new Surface Pro 4. I cannot wait to do a comparison between the Surface Pro 4 and the iPad Pro. I cannot wait to see. I know the iPad Pro is going to be pretty well priced in terms of it's going to be expensive. But when we get to compare the two, it should be a fun experience. So that's it. That's my review. Cannot wait to get the Surface Pro 4 into my hands so I can actually do a live demo. So until then, stay tuned.